of a fast-moving storm. So the river flooding, low-lying flooding, still a risk, of course, but thankfully not as much as we had thought. So that's fairly good news in that department, but we don't like those 2 new tropical depressions that have now popped up. There's our flood watch in effect, and back, of course, to our storm tracker, which shows the activity here moving very quickly to the north-northeast. And we're going to flip over to Viper here and look at our echo tops. This is a product that estimates the the tops of these storms, and we've seen them consistently at times, Eric, 45, 50, 50,000 feet.
So we're not seeing the explosive development like we were when this storm came ashore.
Exactly.
So we're seeing this storm again gradually weaken over land.
Right. And that's, as Eric points out, we're seeing this storm weaken out over the land area, as you would expect, taking away the source, the fuel for the storm, that warm water out over the Gulf and the Atlantic. And clearly the storm continues to move toward the Kissimmee-St. Cloud area. You folks in Haines City, still in Lakeland, still south of Frostproof, and potentially, too, areas south of that, maybe into the northern portion of Highlands County, Avon Park, Sebring, Wauchula, Zolfo Springs, still seeing some strong winds. But now the momentum is shifting out of the News Channel 8 viewing area and will likely, over the next 2 hours, continue to move well to the northeast, right across the Orlando area, it looks like, or slightly west of Orlando, across Kissimmee, St. Cloud, and very close to the Disney area as well. Also Epcot Center, those theme parks are going to watch very closely for these hurricane-force winds as they move to the northeast across that region. So we're going to wrap up coverage here for now, having shown you just about everything we can show you, including where that storm is moving, and try to give a heads up to everyone out there. And keep an eye over the next half hour to an hour as the storm takes most of the momentum and most of the winds. You'll still see some strong wind gusts on the backside of this system as they move to the northeast. And we will be here, Bob and Gail, throughout the evening, although we go to Olympic coverage, and we'll continue to keep you posted as this storm leaves the News Channel 8 viewing area.
And I'll tell you how we're going to be able to do that during the Olympic coverage, which starts at 8:15.
Well, actually, it started at 8,
right,
but we're starting at 8:15.
Tip by tape delay. We're not going to have any local commercials during the opening ceremonies. Instead, whenever we were supposed to have a commercial, we are instead going up to our weather center to keep everybody posted on Charlie's progress as he goes away from us. And PAX was going to be carrying the Olympics. Instead, they get to carry the baseball game they were going to carry in the first place. That's the Devil Rays versus the Texas Rangers in Texas.
Yep.
And now let's go up to Lance and Stacy, who I think have some footage of
some of the damage. I think
what's been going on.
Yeah, we have damage video, you guys. We're going to start first in Fort Myers. If we could roll that video, take a peek at some of the airport video there of planes. I heard or read, actually, Lance, on the wire, that some of these planes were eventually crumpled up like little pieces of metal.
And you know, when all our lives, when we look at these hurricane video pictures, all we have ingrained in our minds, the flashing, the roofing, being blown off the ceilings. This truck, there's no driver behind that truck. You can see it's just being pushed backwards by those heavy winds. But it's this airplane, there's no pilot on that airplane, but again, those images that are ingrained in our minds are those whipping palm trees and the debris that's blowing around. And no matter how many times we see them, until you're in the middle of it, you really don't understand the powerful danger of it.
You're right. And we are also going to be looking at Apollo Beach video. I'm not sure. This is Fort Myers, you're telling me? This is still Fort Myers video. And the trees leaning, you can see how bad it was down in Fort Myers when this thing first came through there. This is very close to where it made landfall. So they saw that dangerous part of the storm on the southeastern part of it.
And how bleak it was. People that we both talked to on the telephone said that it just went pitch black, even though that it was, you know, it should have been broad daylight in the middle of the afternoon, that it went pitch black, and the bleakness of it, and obviously the terror of not knowing what was going to happen. And as you and I have talked to people that have been hit directly by the storm, the roofs that have been blown off, obviously we see some of the roof tiles being blown off there, but the roofs of people's homes blown off, a couple of mobile home parks devastated. This is also, I can tell from the palm trees in Fort Myers, those giant royal palms that have been torn down, and of course this oak tree that's been uprooted.
Just the aftermath. You know, it's pretty much what you read about when you're reading about what a hurricane, especially a Category 4, what kind of punch it packs. This is just a mess right now down in Fort Myers. You can see everything that storm left behind. I guess it's something that the roads are even passable there.
And you know what, I wanted to mention that while we see this amazing destruction in areas where we did not necessarily expect it, you know, Fort Myers, we didn't expect the storm to come in that far south. We expected to get the brunt of it up here in Tampa and St. Petersburg. So as you're watching, the power of the storm down there in that area is across the state in a model that we did not expect. I want to go ahead and show you the tower cam from right here in downtown Tampa. Look at that. The water is, that's the Hillsborough River. That is from our tower cam here at News Channel 8. You know, again, to borrow Keith Cates' words, it looks, you could water ski on that.
I know, and the thing is, no one wants to be hit by this. The main thing we talked about in the Tampa-St. Pete area is what happens with Hillsborough Bay and Old Tampa Bay, in that they act like a catcher's mitt. And so the big concern with the storm coming up here was going to be that catcher's glove effect, where we were going to have a massive storm surge. So
right.
That's really the only bullet that we've dodged in terms of this. They're seeing that, of course, along the coast where it did come ashore, but it's not as heavily a populated area, so overall fewer people impacted by this path of the storm, but certainly those caught in the middle of it, our hearts go out to them.
And you know, Jen Hill was talking to us about, you know, you can escape the wind by going into a secured area, but that water is going to rise and cause possible deaths. And so mercifully, we were spared from that. Just quickly, we, again, Pinellas County, you can go back to the evacuated areas. Those have been suspended. And also, Hillsborough still has its evacuations in effect. As far as that Buccaneers football game, we still have no word that it might still be on again. It was suspended indefinitely, but we will update you as soon as we can. We want to. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, we have so many crews out. We are still gathering all of the news. We will bring it to you in bits and pieces throughout the Olympics. We know it's very important. Our phones are ringing off the hook here. People want to see the opening games of the Olympics. Of course, everything happens at once. It's Friday the 13th. We have a Category 4 hurricane, and it's the opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
We have those big games, and we will be showing them in their entirety, even though it'll be 8:15 when we begin airing them. You will see them in their entirety, the opening ceremonies.
So right now, let's go back to Bob and Gail in the studio. They'll wrap things up for us.
Thank you. We will. We have some new information to tell everyone about. This is specifically involving the folks in Sarasota. The evacuation to the barrier islands in Sarasota has been lifted. It has not been lifted for Northport, and that is because there's still a lot of damage, of people still without power. They don't think it's safe to go back to your homes.
That's the power line problems down on the highways up there.
Exactly.
But as soon as that's corrected, everybody should be able to go back. So right at this point along the coastline, except for Northport, everyone can return to their homes on the barrier islands. It'll be slow going because a lot of folks will be going
They're lined up
quickly
right
as
now.
they can. Again, we are going to be carrying the Olympics by tape delay. You won't miss anything. We just need to be sure that we've nailed down the weather situation for
Absolutely.
everybody before we go to our tape delay of the Olympics, which started at 8, but we will be bringing to you in just a matter of minutes. Let's go back to Steve
Well,
Downer.
we just want to tell one more thing. Charlotte County has lost most of its phone service. They're working on that, but we just want to let you know that that has not been restored. We don't have a timetable for restoration of that being restored. So everyone on the barrier islands in Sarasota, you may go back. Northport, no. That's a power issue. Electricity still out there. And so, yes, now.
Steve Jerby. Let's have one last long look, and then, of course, throughout the Olympics, instead of commercials, we'll be going to the Weather Department for updates on Charley.
Yeah, that sounds good, Bob. It's certainly improving for most of the Bay Area, but folks in northeastern Polk County are still getting hammered pretty good by this storm. As you see, a less impressive-looking hurricane, as we've been telling you here, the blue area south of Haines City maybe indicates the eye sort of collapsing on the southern end. There is a small signature here. I'm going to zoom into it just east of Haines City and see if it's still left there. Is what remains of is the eye. One little speck, one remnant there, as you can see right there, still trying to hold on, but the drying or the quieting of the activity just to the south of the eye itself, that's what's really significant. So again, this has been a very impressive hurricane. We also had reports from viewers calling in of 3 separate tractor-trailer, big rig, 18-wheelers, knocked over on I-75 in Charlotte County. That's on I-75 in Charlotte County. Not surprising if those winds came in with well over 100 miles per hour. Those high-profile vehicles fall especially susceptible to those extremely strong straight-line winds, and not just gusts, but sustained winds of over 100 miles per hour. So that was a terrible situation down there, and I'm sure that as the media crews get down into Charlotte County and start to inspect some of this damage, they're going to find some pretty dramatic stuff. Now we're looking at this area of wind just north of Lake Wales and Haines City that has now shifted into the western portion of Osceola County, Kissimmee, St. Cloud area, but still strong winds remain in northern Polk County and just east of Haines City, where it appears to be the strongest area of winds. Our level 2 Doppler radar is picking this up as it moves. A little change in the atmosphere. Let me see the velocity there. I don't see any what looked like a rather strange area there, so I just want to make sure that that's okay. Yeah, we're still seeing winds here, perhaps around 74, 75 miles per hour, so that was the area that just kind of caught my eye very briefly. But there again, that is moving clear of Haines City, but there's still east and northeast of Haines City some extremely strong wind gusts in this area. Take a look at our rainfall rate at this point. This is estimated, and this shows you where the strongest stuff is. This one little purple area we've been following, just this little twist area I've been following here for some time. Let's try to get an idea how much is falling there at 3 inches per hour. Again, we haven't talked about flooding being a huge issue, although a flood watch is in effect for this area. We haven't talked about flooding being a big issue because the storm has moved so fast. And as we pull back and take a look at the 24-hour precip estimate from Doppler radar, you can see most of it has been on the eastern and southern portion of the side of the storm itself. So here you have 3 inches of rain down in Hardy County, perhaps up to 2 inches of rain, and some of these estimates may be high. On the western side, you can see 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch of rain, a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there. And again, these rain bands have rotated across all the way up into the northern portion of Polk County. In fact, this area offshore is left over from all of that, perhaps up to 3 inches of rain. We saw one earlier in the afternoon roll through Citrus County with pretty good intensity. So that's the situation there in terms of rainfall. Much better news in terms of flooding. Don't like to get any rain, but clearly we couldn't really avoid it with a Category 4 major hurricane making landfall at about 3:45 this afternoon down in Charlotte County, actually making that landfall. Going to bump on over here. Actually, I want to take a look at that videotape we have from down in Fort Myers. We have some incredible videotape to show you that a crew shot earlier today, and this gives you the indication of the strong winds. Of course, planes are built to take aerodynamics and travel at winds of well over 100 miles per hour. It appears to be at the airport. And minor roof failures like you see on industrial buildings, not that unusual when you see straight line winds of over 100 miles per hour, but damage like this, wow. And there's a truck being moved by those strong straight line winds. There's no one driving it, just being moved around by the wind. So that's a couple thousand pounds there. And that plane being moved around by the wind as well. So this was out at the airport, it looks like down in the Charlotte County area. And we also saw the Fort Myers post office roof being ripped off earlier on today. Now this is what happens sometimes in storms household. This is very typical of Category 2 or Category 3 damage, with those roofs being ripped off, basically shingles being torn off of roofs. And this is obviously looks like at the height of the storm. Visibility is extremely low, probably like what's still going on in the northeastern portion of Polk County. And this is more video of the palm trees and the wind whipping across the area, the straight line winds. Very difficult to get pictures in this kind of weather. I've tried to do it before with photographers. And this is just some damage video. Looks like the worst of the storm has passed most of the area, but trees down, a very common report, not just in Charlotte County, but inland in places like Arcadia. Paul Lemison reporting out of there, of an industrial building, a roof actually coming off the building itself, was actually a shelter for folks, and which was, I'm sure, a very terrifying moment for them. There's a street light bent over by the strong winds and quite a bit of shrubbery damage as well. So here again, we've had a very intense afternoon of strong thunderstorm, or rather strong hurricane winds related to a Category 4 hurricane coming into southwest Florida and now passing through Polk County and emerging into places like Osceola County out of the area. But still, heads up, you're going to get some strong winds still in the northeastern portion of Polk County.
All right, Steve, thank you. What an incredible wrap-up you've given us, and we will be checking back with you throughout this evening as the opening games for the Olympic air here on News Channel 8 for the rest of this evening.
We will not be airing any of our local commercials. It'll all be updates on our weather situation. We want to thank PAX for being willing to carry the Olympics for us, but now we're going to start by tape delay the Olympic opening ceremonies as they began at 8 o'clock.
In Athens, we'll see you throughout the night.